Everything we know from crisis research and crisis management with both adults and with children tells us that both adults and children cope better with crises if they have appropriate information. Appropriate information is an organizing structure for children. It helps them sort of begin to pull together some pieces for them that they feel are sort of flying apart. So, first of all, they simply need to know what's happening, and it is really preferable that they hear it from their parents, not some school counselor. Later I'm going to give you some comments from young adults who are looking back on their parents' divorce, and the very first one that spoke at this AFCC conference in California said that she was told by a counselor that the parents were going to separate. I mean, it's just shocking. It's also shocking to me that any counselor would accept that responsibility in lieu of the parents doing what should be parental work. Would you agree? I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news for the child. As therapists, we can move in behind the parents' explanation to the children, move in behind their sharing the knowledge that they're going to separate, and begin to help a child or adolescent think that through. But we should never be the agents for a parent to tell them that they're going to separate. Now, okay, so they need appropriate information from parents about how this is all going to affect their lives, because that will help reduce their anxiety. Even if parents don't know, like, do we have to move? Does the child have to change schools? The parents can say, you know, we don't know yet whether one of us will be staying in this house, but we hope that you're going to be able to stay in the same school. We're going to try to make that happen. You know, yes, we expect that you'll be able to continue the current, sport, whatever the child is doing, activities that are meaningful to the child. So we want things to remain pretty much the same for you. And as we know the details, I'll let you know. So at least there's a conversation that gets started between parents and children, because it's going to help them cope with this. Parents are afraid to have these conversations. I mean, as a researcher in the 1970s, we always asked parents, what have you told your children? And in fact, for you, it should be one of the early questions in your work with parents. If one or two parents come in and say, we're thinking about separating, or we've just separated, your responsibility, from my perspective, is to say, and what have you told the children? Or what do you plan to tell the children? Because you can help them with this. So we found out as a researcher that a lot of parents said to us, well, we didn't say very much. We didn't really know what to say. We just told them we're not going to live together. We didn't know, are we supposed to say we're going to divorce? I mean, parents come with a huge raft of legitimate questions and a lot of anxiety. And and to continue my example, as a mediator for 20 years, doing separation, divorce, custody, and so on, that was one of the questions I asked parents in the first session once we established kind of why they were here. I mean, I knew they were here because they were separating or were thinking of separating. But I always said early on, what have you told the children about this? And what was striking to me again was they said, we haven't said much. We don't know what to say. They really are anxious about how much to say, how to say it, and there's kind of a myth that you shouldn't talk to your children about the separation and divorce. Lawyers say to clients, not only don't talk to this divorcing partner, but they say don't talk to your kids about any of this. Well, that's a huge mistake, because there are appropriate things to talk to children about, and there are inappropriate things to talk to them about, like your mother had an affair, you know, and etc. So the parents worry about whether they'll be able to control their emotions. I might cry. What do I do if I cry? You know, how do I handle that? Well, what exactly should I or we say to the kids? And so we would spend time developing, either I would, as a therapist or consultant to parents, developing what's an appropriate thing to tell the children about the separation and the reasons for the separation in an appropriate way that's not damaging, as well as with two parents sitting in front of me, I say, well, what would you like to say to the children? You know, what do you think is appropriate to say to the kids? And get their ideas. And then we would proceed to kind of craft together an explanation to the children that was accepted by both parents and that would work with the children, because it was a child-sensitive explanation. A lot of kids, a lot of parents feel anxious and guilty that they're going to damage their children. And so in a sense, if I don't talk about any of this, maybe they won't notice that this is happening. And they worry that their children will blame them. They're fearful of their anger, particularly parents who have children ages 9 and up, because indeed in this age group we see much more anger about the separation than in the younger age groups. We might see anger behaviorally in the younger children, 2 to 6 or 7 or 8, but we see much more open, out there, aggressive response to parents when they tell them about separation or after separation. Okay. I totally understand why parents have difficulty talking about this. First of all, they are understandably and completely absorbed with their own reactions to the separation. And it's like there's nothing left over for the children. And it's just hard.